Welcome back, Focus Learners. Today we're diving deep into the massive new ISO 14001-2026 transition. But before we even start unpacking this, I want to let you know right off the bat that the ISO 14001-2026 Practical Transition Guide is available for free right now on the platform, and the link is provided in the description for you to grab: https://imzorhismail.gumroad.com/l/ISO 14001-2026-transition guide. Okay, so back on April 15, 2026, the International Organization for Standardization finally published this highly anticipated 4th edition. It replaces the 2015 version, the one that's guided over 500,000 certified organizations for more than a decade now. So whether you're an environmental manager, a sustainability leader, or a consultant, this explainer is going to walk you through the absolute critical updates you need to successfully navigate this transition.
Like I mentioned just a second ago, that complete comprehensive transition toolkit, authored by lead auditor Ismail Imzor, is totally free. Seriously, I highly encourage you to just pause this explainer for a second, open the description, and click that Gumroad link right there to access it. https://imzorhismail.gumroad.com/l/ISO 14001-2026 transition guide. It's got a full 35-point checklist and a bunch of ready-to-use templates that will literally make your life so much easier. Go grab that whole shebang and let's get into the analysis.
All right, here is our strategic to tactical journey for today. We'll cover 7 key standard changes, expanding the lifecycle perspective, Clause 6.3 change management, sector-specific audit priorities, and finally, a 6-phase transition roadmap.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, 7 key standard changes. Okay, so the source guide outlines 7 substantive changes overall, but listen, they are definitely not created equal. It's absolutely crucial we separate the minor document tweaks from the genuinely new operational stuff, right? For example, looking at the low operational impact side, things like risks and opportunities have been split into 2 distinct clauses. That's really just a documentation refresh to clarify the logic, no big deal. Then we step up to medium impact, like the expansion of the lifecycle perspective, which means you're going to have to revisit your aspect registers. But look at that bottom row, high impact. A genuinely new change type, Clause 6.3, change management. We're going to dig deep into this in a minute, but spoiler alert, this is the area that's going to require completely new process design for most of you.
Moving right along to Section 2, expanding the lifecycle perspective.
Well, lifecycle thinking has been around since 2015. Sure, but the 2026 edition, it considerably strengthens it across your entire scope, your aspect identification, and your operational controls. The standard now demands you look way beyond your own factory walls. You have to trace it chronologically. Start all the way back at raw material extraction. What impacts are happening upstream with your suppliers? Then look at your direct manufacturing impacts. Next comes transport and distribution, then product use by your actual customers, and finally, end of life. Now, here's a really pragmatic tip from the author. You aren't expected to have absolute control over every single one of these stages. The key here is distinguishing between what you can control and what you can only influence. If you can only influence supplier behavior or customer recycling, you must now explicitly document exactly how you do that, whether it's through contracts, audits, or user guidance.
Okay, Section 3, Clause 6.3, change management.
This is the heavy hitter, folks. I actually want to read this exact quote directly from Ismail Imzorith's guide because it just hits the nail on the head. Quote, "This is the only genuinely new clause in the 2026 revision and the one most likely to reveal gaps in existing standalone ISO 14001 systems." End quote. So think about it. If your environmental management system is standalone, meaning it isn't seamlessly integrated with a broader quality or safety system that already handles change management, Clause 6.3 is going to be your absolute biggest piece of work. Ad hoc, fly-by-the-seat-of-your-pants changes to your operations? Yeah, those days are officially over. So what does this actually mean down on the floor? You now have to formally evaluate specific types of changes through a documented process before they ever happen. We're talking operational changes, like throwing in new shift patterns, modifying facility layouts, or changing capacity. Product changes, maybe you've got new formulations, or even just doing a simple packaging swap. Service changes, and adapting to new compliance obligations. Before any of that rolls out, auditors are going to be looking for a documented paper trail proving you identified, evaluated, and approved the environmental impact of that change.
Let's shift gears to Section 4, sector-specific audit priorities. Knowing the theory is great, but how does this translate into your daily reality?
because auditors are going to hone in on various specific things depending on your industry. Let's break it down. In manufacturing, your priority remains your direct operational impacts. But now you've got to apply that expanded life cycle view to your raw materials. What if you're in logistics and transport? Auditors will aggressively target your Scope 1, 2, and 3 climate change emissions. And critically, they want to see how you manage externally provided services, like those third-party carriers you use. And hey, if you're in the services or tertiary sector, don't think you're off the hook. The focus just shifts. They'll be looking at your externally provided IT services, the massive energy draw of cloud data centers, and your overall digital footprint pollution. Grounding your compliance in these realities is literally how you pass your transition audit.
All right, Section 5, 6-Phase Transition Roadmap. We know what's changed, now we need a tactical execution plan. Here is a super realistic 6 to 12-month roadmap for a mid-sized organization. First up, spend about 4 weeks on awareness and running a deep gap analysis against these new 2026 rules. From there, take 2 weeks to build a prioritized action plan. Then, brace yourself, because here comes the heavy lifting. Allocate up to 12 weeks to update your documentation. That's where you build out that new Clause 6.3 process and expand those aspect registers. Next, you'll need roughly 5 weeks to train your workforce and run a rigorous internal audit. All of this culminates in your final transition audit. Now, most certified organizations have until May 2029 to transition, but as we're about to see, waiting until the final buzzer is a massive strategic mistake.
So why shouldn't you just wait until 2029? Because transitioning to ISO 14001:2026 isn't just about getting a shiny certificate to hang in the lobby anymore. It's connected to major bottom-line advantages. A well-run 2026 system actually forms the operational backbone for European Sustainability Reporting Standards, or CSRD reporting. It gives you the exact, defensible data architecture you're going to need to comply with the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, which, by the way, has direct financial consequences for the carbon intensity of imports. Upgrading early inherently aligns your entire corporate ESG data architecture. It literally puts you years ahead of your slower competitors.
Which leaves us with this final, pretty provocative question to chew on. Are you going to leverage this transition to secure your supply chain contracts early by adopting right now, or are you going to be part of the panicked scramble right before that May 2029 deadline? Let's be real, organizations that transition by mid-2027 are going to hold a massive competitive advantage in global procurement. So don't wait. Remember, everything we just went over is laid out step-by-step in Ismail Himzouri's Practical Transition Guide. Once again, click the link in the description. That's https://imzouriemail.gumroad.com/l/ISO 14001:2026 Transition Guide to download it for free, grab those templates, and kick off your gap analysis today. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.